Hey everybody, I've deleted the previous video I put up because I had incorrect information there about how to align the radio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in front of the rest of the content and repost it. So for those of you that left comments on the previous one, thank you. So I just want to cover what where I went wrong. So many of you pointed it out already. So first of all, here's the section here. We're going to focus in on that so I can talk to it. So when we aligned at 455, I correctly tuned 33A, 30A, 29A, and 29B, no problem. But when I went to 1500 kilocycles, I again adjusted these cans, and that was incorrect. Really what I was supposed to adjust is 17A and 17B, which are two different trimmers. And if you look on this diagram right here, you'll see here's 17A, and here's 9. So I went ahead and did that, but I'm glad that I made the mistake because I found something interesting when I was doing it. I wanted to monitor the AVC voltage, and that was a suggestion from Brendan to see if it was indeed working correctly, because there was also a comment from Bob Gibbons that I was blowing out the AVC. So I said, let me check that out. So what I did was, let's get the old schematic out here. Shrink that down. So what I decided to do was come off of the second IF right here. Let's make sure you could see that. And I put a meter on the ungrounded side of this .05 cap, okay, which goes to the second can. I put my meter right here, and of course the other side to ground. And what happened was really weird. So I was getting about negative 12 volts, which is fine. But when I moved the dial of the meter to DC, and I was measuring in millivolts, by the way. When I moved the dial of the meter to volts, the radio got really loud. I mean, and I was tuning around. I was picking up stations that I will never ever pick up here. And I'm saying, well, what the heck is that? Why is my meter acting as an antenna? So looking around and talking to Brendan, we kind of figured out that there's a problem with the AGC. The gain control. So to test that, we went over to this first RF tube right here. It's the XXL tube. And with the radio on, I took a wire and I connected it to pin 6, which is the grid, right here. Just touched it. And I got all kinds of volume. So I said, okay. So there's definitely something not right there. I measured this resistor. It was spot on, 2.2 ohms. So then I took a look at this wire that comes down here off this 225 nanofarad cap, and I checked the wire, and the wire was broken. Again, another broken wire in this radio. So this I don't know what happened with this thing, but the wire was kind of intermittent. If you jiggled it, it would connect. So I replaced that wire, and now I get all kinds of volume and power out of this thing, and stations. I'm picking up all kinds of things. The other thing to remember is, when I was testing it, I was connecting just a 100-foot wire to the antenna. This radio really does require the loop antenna it was made with. And that's something that you'll see, something I forgot, but remember now. That's something that you'll see with a lot of radios, is that they're built specifically for that antenna. So if you're going to do any conclusive testing, make sure you use the antenna that came with the radio. So we've replaced that wire. We've aligned the radio correctly using the proper adjustment points right here. I've even adjusted the shortwave, and I was able to pick up some shortwave stations last night. So that was really cool. So this radio is now good to go, and it's going to go back in the case, and we'll be able to wrap this one up. Anyway, thank you for your comments. Here comes the rest of the original video. If you've seen it already, you can skip it. But thanks everybody for your help. I really appreciate it. And our next video will be around the RCA T62 that we're going to work on, which we're going to call number 39. So we'll see you guys later. Welcome to episode 9. In episode 9, we're going to start off just a minute or two of the cabinet, getting it ready. I've removed the speaker grill, the cardboard that's destroyed. I have to replace that. This wood block came loose in shipping, so I've had to glue that back down. And you'll also notice that I have some clamps here. This particular seam here was flopping around in the breeze. So I put some glue down there with a thin piece of plastic, got it down there, and then I have it clamped from top to bottom. and then I have a clamp from here to here to hold it in. I've also just put some wood glue in the seams here. That will just keep everything nice and tight. That's as far as the damage goes on the cabinet. If you remember when I got this radio, the chassis was flopping around there, and I actually got a discount on it because it broke the dial glass. So that worked out well. So I've also cleaned out the inside here with Clorox cleanup sheets. You gotta remember, you know, these old radios, you know, have been laying around for 70 years. Most of them have, you know, are mouse houses. This one I don't think was. All I found here was some drippy wax. But you want to get the germs out of there. So I use Clorox wipes just to keep it a little bit sanitized. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a thin coat here of shellac just to seal that wood so it doesn't dry out any further on the inside, on the bottom, and just to protect it. I don't have any sealer, pre-sanding or pre-staining sealer, so I'll just use the shellac. That'll be just fine. And you'll see inside we have our original labels, so we're not going to touch those. And we've got something over there, and that's so it's a part number for the cabinet. That's cool. So we're going to let that dry, and just one quick look inside. You can see I'll dial glass, and you can see that it's mounted in there securely. So let's let that dry, and then we'll work on the alignment and getting this antenna put back in. Here's the antenna that was in this radio. Comes out with 3 screws, and it's just basically copper, solid copper wires and a loop. And apparently this was our Philco's way of saying that you didn't need an external antenna, and you can get to overseas, police, and broadcast band. So we're going to shine that up a little bit, get it nice and clean, and we'll put it back inside here. All right, let's get to the alignment. Okay, I'm doing a dry fit of the radio here. You'll notice I have the antenna mounted back in, and you'll notice it's all shined up. Looks great. And I'm putting a dry fit of the radio here purposely because I want to see how it aligns up to the in the front. You got to remember, when this thing was shipped, it was all bouncing around there, and I think that front plate is bent. And my suspicions have been confirmed. So we're going to show you that. I also redid the speaker baffle, the fabric. We're going to show that later. Let me flip this thing around and show you the problem. I don't know how well you're going to see this, but if you look through this dial glass, see the pointer? There's a good inch between the top and where that dial pointer is. And if you can see in there, there's our selector switch. It's way back. So I think the plate that's in there has to come forward. Alright, so we're going to have to take it out of the chassis, bend that plate up a little bit, and make sure that this thing comes up a little more at the right angle so that we could actually see the pointer. Because right now it's very hard to see. If you power it up, you could actually see the lamps right here, which is not the desired effect. You don't want to see the lamps, you just want to see the dial glass illuminated. So we're going to pull it out, we're going to bend it up, we're also going to put in our fabric. Right? We'll do that, and then we'll be able to mount the chassis on the bottom, and then we'll give it a final polish and shine, and then I'm going to touch up this brown along the base here and along the top. And the radio is going to be pretty much done. So all I have to do is an alignment. So before I actually mount this thing in the cabinet, we're going to go through the alignment together. But let me get this thing bent, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Before I put the radio in the cabinet, I want to show you that we do have our grill cloth mounted, and we'll show you what that looks like in the front shortly. Let me get this thing mounted. Alright, here we go. Everything's put back together. You'll notice the dial is much more forward than it was. Here's our band selector, and it's really a nice radio. Real nice.
Yep.
So we're in good shape. There's our grill cloth. Looking good. So what's left for me to do, let me lower this, is I want to touch up the black highlights around here. And also here, there's some black highlights. I want to touch that up. I'm also going to touch up around the bottom band here and around the top. But in general, number 41 is done. Going to shine it up a little bit more. Needs just a little bit more waxing up here. But our bezel looks great, and our radio looks good. Let's flip it around and take a look at the back. We're using the built-in loop antenna that's there, by the way, which that actually does work pretty good. That was one of the sales points of Philco, is that you didn't need to connect an antenna to it, so it seems to work. And there's our radio inside the cabinet, and looks nice. Everything's where it needs to be. So we're going to call this series done. This radio's complete, and what's coming up next is number 39. All right, if you remember, we had number 41, and now we have number 39 coming up next. So thanks for all of you for sticking around and your encouragement on this one, and especially to Brendan for helping me when I was kind of stuck a little bit. But for the most part, we're good here. So thanks everybody. Have a great long weekend.